respected chairperson of this session, delegates from various parts of the world, particularly learned cell biologists and professors, doctors, and my beloved brothers and sisters. After hearing the Dr. Jagdish speech today, I would like to call everybody as brothers and sisters. Such a wonderful presentation today morning, Dr. Jagdish and Dr. Mallarao. Both had given a very beautiful lecture. எல்லோருக்கும் இனிய மதிய வணக்கங்கள். வாழ்க வளமுடன். ரியலி ரொம்ப 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 நெகிழ்ச்சியாகவும் மகிழ்ச்சியாகவும் உணர்கிறேன் இந்த அரங்கில். Dear friends from other country, I would like to have bilingual presentation. I talk in a little bit in English as well as I'm feeling comfortable to deliver few points in Tamil for other people. So my presentation will be in both languages. ரியலி இந்த அரங்கு ரொம்ப நெகிழ்ச்சியும் ஒரு மன நிறைவும் நிறைந்த அரங்காக இருக்குது. இந்த இடத்துக்குள்ளே வந்த இடத்துல இருந்தே அந்த வைப் 94-95 வந்து நான் சித்த மருத்துவ கல்லூரி படித்து முடித்தப்புறம் சென்னையில் இருக்கக்கூடிய திருவான்மியூரில் மகரிஷி அவர்களை அந்த அரங்கில் சந்தித்து உரையாடிய பொழுதுகள் சற்று முன்னாடி எனக்கு மனதுக்குள்ளே அப்படியே ஒலித்து கொண்டே இருக்கிறது. அவரது குரல் ஒலித்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. சித்த மருத்துவனாக அறிமுகப்படுத்தி கொண்டு அவர் பேசும் பொழுது, சித்த மருத்துவனாக அவர் என்னை அழைத்து எனக்கு கொடுத்த அறிவுரைகள், அந்த மருத்துவத்தை எப்படி எடுத்து செல்ல வேண்டும், அந்த மருத்துவத்தின்பால் இருக்கக்கூடிய பல்வேறு நுட்பங்களை கிடைத்த ஒரு சில மணித்துளிகளில் அவங்க பேசியது இன்னும் மனசில் அவ்வளோ நிறைவாக இருக்குது. அந்த பயணம் வந்து கிட்டத்தட்ட 30 ஆண்டுகளாக தொடர்ச்சியாக பொதுமக்களிடம் சித்த மருத்துவத்தை, சித்த மருத்துவத்தினுடைய உணவியல் கூறுகளை பல்வேறு மக்களிடம், வெகுஜன மக்களிடமும் அறிவார்ந்த சமூகத்திடமும் தொடர்ச்சியாக இதை எடுத்து செல்ல வேண்டும் என்கிற ஒரு நோக்கோடு தொடர்ந்து பயணித்து கொண்டிருக்கிறேன். அதற்கான ஒரு முதல் முனைப்பை எனக்குள் விதைத்த வேதாத்ரி மகரிஷி ஐயாவை இந்த இடத்தில் நினைவு கூர்ந்து ஒரு சில மணித்துளிகள் உங்களோடு லாஞ்சிட்டிவிட்டி ஆஃப் லைஃப் பை சித்தாஸ் லைஃப் ஸ்டைல் என்கிற ஒரு சிறு தொகுப்பை உங்களோடு உரையாட விரும்புகிறேன். Before starting my lecture, I would like to tell about the recent publication. Maybe some of the doctors and learned people might have aware about that. That publication came in the Lancet about India's incidence of non-communicable diseases. The title of the paper itself, it's ICMR India B7, the incidence of non-communicable diseases in India. They had taken the statistics from the year of 2009 to 2017. அதில் 2009 2017 வரைக்கும் நடந்த ஒரு பெரிய மருத்துவ ஆய்வு, சர்க்கரை வியாதி குறித்த, சர்க்கரை வியாதியை விட்ட பிற தொற்றா வாழ்வியல் நோய்கள் குறித்த ஒரு ஆய்வு. அது பல மருத்துவ அறிஞர்களையும் இந்த மருத்துவம் சார்ந்து பணியாற்றி கொண்டிருக்கிற பல பேரையும் சற்றே உலுக்கிய ஒரு பேப்பர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். சென்னையில் இருக்கக்கூடிய டாக்டர் அஞ்சனா, டாக்டர் மோகனுடைய டாக்டர் அவங்க பப்ளிஷ் பண்ண ஒரு ஐசிஎம்ஆரோடு சேர்ந்து பப்ளிஷ் பண்ண ஒரு ஆர்டிக்கல். நமக்கு எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும், ஆல்மோஸ்ட் எவ்ரிபடி அவேர் த இன்சிடென்ஸ் ஆஃப் டயபெட்டிஸ் இஸ் இன்க்ரீசிங் இன் இந்தியா. ஆல்மோஸ்ட் 11-12% ஆஃப் பீப்புள் ஆர் டயபெட்டிக்ங்கிறது பெரும்பாலும் தெரிஞ்ச விஷயம். பட் இந்த ஆர்டிக்கிள், இந்த பர்டிகுலர் லான்செட் ஆர்டிக்கிள் வந்து என்ன சொல்லுதுன்னா, நம்மளுடைய என்டையர் மைண்ட் செட்டை கொஞ்சம் லேசாக மாற்றிருக்கு. அவங்க என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னா, எஸ், as expected, nearly 11-12% people are known diabetic people, and nearly 17% of population are in IGT, impaired glucose tolerance வாங்க. அதாவது ப்ரீ டயபெட்டிக்னு எடுத்துக்கலாம். அந்த ப்ரீ டயபெட்டிக்கில் கிட்டத்தட்ட 17% இருக்காங்க. அது இந்த ஆர்டிக்கிள் முடித்தது 2017 வரைக்கும் உள்ள டேட்டா. இந்த ஒரு 6 வருஷத்தில், அதுவும் பர்டிகுலர்லி இந்த போஸ்ட் கோவிட் எராவில், இந்த பேலன்ஸ் 6 இயர்ஸில் இன்னும் அந்த 17%ல் மோர் தென் 60% ஆஃப் பீப்புள் ஷுட் ஹேவ் பிகம் அ டயபெட்டிக் அகெயின். ஸோ ஆல்மோஸ்ட் அப்படி கணக்கு வச்சு பார்த்தோன்னா, நியர்லி இன் இந்தியா ரைட் நவ் எடுத்திங்கன்னா மோர் தென் 20% ஆஃப் பாப்புலேஷன் ஷுட் பி த டயபெட்டிக். சரி, இதில் என்ன இருக்குது, எல்லாருக்கும் தெரிஞ்ச விஷயம் தானே அப்படின்னு தெரியலாம். அந்த ஆர்டிக்கல் மொத்த டேட்டா எடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, எவ்வளோ பேர், ஹவு மெனி பீப்புள் ஆர் இன் டிஸ்லிபிடிமியா, ஹவு மெனி பீப்புள் ஆர் இன் சென்ட்ரலைஸ்ட் ஒபிசிட்டி, ஹவு மெனி பீப்புள் ஆர் இன் ஹைப்பர் டென்ஷன், எவ்ரி அந்த டேட்டா ஃபுல்லாக பப்ளிஷ் ஆயிருக்கு. ஸோ ஓவரால் எடுத்து பார்க்கும்போது இந்த கண்ட்ரி இன்னொரு 10 வருஷத்துக்குள்ள எவ்வளவு பெரிய சேலஞ்சஸ்க்குள்ளே போக போகுது. பர்டிகுலர்லி இந்த நான் கம்யூனிகபிள் டிசீசஸ் சொல்லக்கூடிய டயபெட்டிக், ஹைப்பர்டென்ஷன், இஸ்கெமிக் ஹார்ட் டிசீஸ், கிரானிக் ரெஸ்பிரேட்டரி எயில்மெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாத்தையும் எடுத்து ஒட்டுமொத்தமாக பார்த்தா ஒரு காலத்தில் இதெல்லாம் இருந்த வியாதிகள் தான், எப்போவுமே இருந்த பிரச்சனை தான். பட் இன்னைக்கு அதுக்கு என்ன ரொம்ப முக்கியத்துவம்னா ப்ரொடக்டிவ் ஏஜ் ஸ்பேன், அதாவது வாழ்க்கையில், குடும்பத்தில், சமூகத்தில், நாட்டில் மாற்றத்தை ஏற்படுத்தக்கூடிய ஏஜ் குரூப், ஒரு 25லேருந்து 40 வயசுக்குள்ளே இருக்கிற அந்த பாப்புலேஷன் வந்து இன்னைக்கு மிகப்பெரிய அளவில் இந்த கிளச்சஸ் ஆஃப் நான் கம்யூனிகபிள் டிசீசஸ்குள்ளே போய் சிக்கியிருக்காங்க. டயபெட்டிக், ஹைப்பர்டென்ஷன் வந்து இந்த குரூப்பில் 25 to 40s தான் டூ மச் நம்பர் ஆஃப் பீப்புள் வந்து அதில் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ அப்போ நம்ம இந்த லாஞ்சிட்டிவிட்டி பற்றி பேசுகிறப்ப, காயக்கல்பை பற்றி பேசுகிறப்ப, காயக்கல்பை பற்றி இன்னைக்கு இந்த லாஸ்ட் 2 days we had several types of research and என்ன எவ்வளோ இம்பார்ட்டண்ட் அப்படிங்கிறதுலாம் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் தெரிஞ்சுட்டு வரோம். பட் இந்த காயக்கல்ப பயிற்சிங்கிறது டுவர்ட்ஸ் நம்ம லாஞ்சிட்டிவிட்டியை அச்சீவ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு போகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஃபர்ஸ்ட் திங் இருக்கிற எக்ஸிஸ்டிங் இஷ்யூஸ், ஹெல்த் இஷ்யூஸை அதுலேருந்து வெளியே வர்றதுக்கும், நம்ம அடுத்த ஜெனரேஷன் இங்கே இருக்கிற நம்மளுடைய பிரதர்ஸ், நம்மளுடைய சிஸ்டர்ஸ், நம்ம ஃபேமிலி மெம்பர்ஸ், ஏன் நமக்கே இருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த டயபெட்டிக், ஹைப்பர்டென்ஷன், இஸ்கெமிக் ஹார்ட் டிசீஸோட இஷ்யூஸ்லேருந்து வெளியே வர்றதுக்கு முதல்ல ஒன்று அதிலிருந்து அதை வெல் எஃபிஷியன்ட் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கிறது. ஏன்னா இந்த ஆல் த நான் கம்யூனிகபிள் டிசீசஸ் we cannot able to cure or we cannot able to eradicate from our body, but we can able to well manage the disease if you have a good efficient diet control and having good functional foods and all type of practices like yoga, meditation and other exercises. ஸோ அதுக்கு என்ன நம்ம செய்யணும், என்ன சித்தால என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காங்க, சித்த மருத்துவம் என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கு, தமிழ் மருத்துவம் என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கு, தமிழர் வாழ்வியல் என்ன இதை பற்றி சொல்லியிருக்கு அப்படிங்கிறத பற்றி தான் நான் கொஞ்சம் விரிவாக பேசலாம் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸோ ரொம்ப கவனமாக தெரிய வேண்டியது என்னென்னா, only 10.3% ஆஃப் பீப்புள் தான் இந்த ஓவரால் டயபெட்டிக்கில். இப்போ தமிழ்நாடு எடுத்திங்கன்னா, தமிழ்நாடு we have nearly 8 crore population. இந்த 8 crore பாப்புலேஷனில் 3.5 crore ஆர் உமன் அண்ட் 3.7 மென் இருக்காங்க, 3.5 உமன் இருக்காங்க, ஒரு 75 lakh சில்ட்ரன் இருக்காங்க. இந்த ஒட்டுமொத்த 8 crore பாப்புலேஷனில் ஒரு 12% டயபெட்டிக் அண்ட் ஹைப்பர்டென்ஷனில் இருப்பாங்கன்னு எடுத்தால் கூட நியர்லி 1 crore வந்து என்சிடியோட கிளச்சஸில் ஆல்ரெடி இருக்கும். இந்த 1 crore only 10.3% are having efficient control. அப்போ only 10 lakh people தான் கண்ட்ரோலில் இருக்காங்க. மீதி 90 lakh people already they are not in good control of any either maybe they may be a diabetic or they may be hypertension, they are having silent hypertension, they may have IGT, they don't aware whether they have diabetes or hypertension. So only 10.3% தான் under control. சரி, என்ன அதில் என்ன இருக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு சில பேருக்கு தோணலாம். அன்கண்ட்ரோல்டு நான் கம்யூனிகபிள் டிசீசஸ் இருக்கிறதுல 30% of population in their lifetime they will compulsorily encounter with some kind of renal disease or heart attacks or cancers. நல்லா தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். அந்த 10.3% விட்டுட்டோம்னா மீதி இருக்கிற 90 லட்சம் பேரில் 30 லட்சம் பேருக்கு ஒன்று ரீனல் டிசீஸ், இல்லைன்னா ஹார்ட் அட்டாக், இல்லைன்னா சம் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் கேன்சர் இன் தேர் லைஃப் டைம். 75 வயசு வரைக்கும் இன்றைக்கி இருக்கலாங்கிறது நம்மளுடைய தமிழ்நாடு ஆவரேஜ் லைஃப் ஸ்பேன் இஸ் 72. ஸோ இப்போ ஒரு 40 இயர்ஸில் ஒரு டயபெட்டிக் உள்ளே போகிறாங்க, 35 இயர்ஸில் இது என்டர் இன்டு ஹைப்பர் டென்ஷன் அப்படின்னா பிஃபோர் தேர் ஃபைனல் அவங்க 74-75 they must get into either some kind of renal disease or cancers. So such a huge issue, challenge we are facing right now. Silently it's growing. ஒரு பக்கம் we are சந்திராயனில் போய் நம்ம காலை வச்சுட்டோம், இன்னொரு பக்கம் நம்ம பீப்புள் வந்து எஜுகேஷனில், ஆண்டர்ப்ரனர்ஷிப்பில், டெவலப்மெண்டல் ஆஸ்பெக்டில் ஹியூஜ் க்ரோத் இந்தியா இஸ் ஃபேஸிங். பட் இன்னொரு அனதர் சைடு, ஃப்ளிப் சைடு ஆஃப் த பார்ட் வந்து ஹெல்த்தில் வி ஆர் லூசிங் லைக் எனிதிங். ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் த நீட் ஆஃப் த அவர். எவ்ரி பீப்புள், எவ்ரி இண்டிவிஜுவல் ஷுட் டேக் கேர் அபவுட் தேர் ஹெல்த். அது பர்டிகுலர்லி இந்த என்சிடி கிளச்சஸ்குள்ளே வராமல் இருக்கிறதுக்கு அத்தனை எஃபர்ட் எடுக்கணும். ஃபர்கெட் அபவுட் மெடிசன். எதிர் இன் அலோபதி, ஆயுர்வேதா, சித்தா, வாட் எவர் மெடிகேஷன், இதை எஃபிஷியண்ட்டாக கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணுறதுக்கு மெடிகேஷன் எடுக்கலாம். Whether the medicine alone is enough na கிடையாது. Molecule alone is not enough for to combat this any kind of non-communicable diseases. Whatever molecule, in allopathic molecule or Ayurvedic herb or Siddha, Panacea or Yoga, anything. But they will help us to little manage the disease. The balance is rest in only with the functional food, nutraceutical, meditation, exercises, yoga, good mind. All these things is very, very essential. In this context, சித்தால காயக்கல்பம் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு விஷயம், கல்பா அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு விஷயம் சித்த மருத்துவத்தில் ரொம்ப நெடுங்காலமாக வேற வேற கண்டெக்ஸ்டில் வேற வேற சின்ன சின்ன தலைப்புகளில் அந்த ஃபிலாசபிஸில் நிறைய சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. அதை பற்றி இன்னும் ஒரு லேசாக அதை கொஞ்சம் விரித்து பார்க்கலாங்கிறது தான் இதனுடைய ப்ரெசன்டேஷன். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இந்த மேன்கைண்ட் ஆரம்பித்த காலத்திலிருந்து Dr. Jagdish today morning had given a wonderful lecture. The first, the 750 million years before amoeba lerundu, everybody wants to live more. 48 days lerundu amoeba or maybe அது ஒரு 60 days வரதுக்கான முயற்சி அந்த அமீபாவும் எடுத்துட்டு தான் இருந்திருக்கும். அந்த மாதிரி ஹியூமன் அன்னையிலிருந்து இன்னைக்கு வரைக்கும் நம்மளுடைய லைஃப் ஸ்பேனை இம்ப்ரூவ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு, லாஞ்சிடியூட் இம்ப்ரூவ் பண்ணுறது, நம்மளும் நம்ம உடம்புக்குள்ளே இருக்கிற குரோமோசோம்ஸ் அண்ட் நம்ம உடம்புக்குள்ள டிஎன்ஏ இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் நம்ம லைஃப் ஸ்பேனை இம்ப்ரூவ் பண்ணுறதுக்கான எத்தனையோ முயற்சிகளில் தொடர்ச்சியாக எடுத்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். இது எப்போவுமே காலகாலமாக நம்ம எவாலுவேஷனில் நடந்துட்டு வர்ற விஷயம். So what is Siddha medicine? First, because a few of us coming from various parts of the world should understand about what is Siddha medicine. Siddha, by the research, Tamil language has been on board since more than 5,000 years. We couldn't be able to exactly tell how much years before. We can tell that from the antiquity, it might be from before 5,000 years that Tamil is on board. So literature evidence shows that people were lived in community with sound health and happiness. If you take it in the Sangam literatures, or if you take in the Tolgapiyam, all the literature very clearly told how much happily they had lived, how much they take care of their own lifestyle. Everything, it has been documented in old Sangam literatures, in old traditional Tamil literatures. We can able to see the things. Siddhas like Tirumular, Bogar, Karuvura, Therayar have delivered several things about longevity of life, lifestyle, and several functional foods, several herbs for healing, for various ailments. Nearly 4,448 clinical signs or 4,448 diseases as denoted on those Siddha literatures. And before going to what is in Siddha System, I'm going to tell about a very small note about the fundamental of Siddha. Like how Ayurveda, how Unani, all other oil system has a same fundamental, almost same fundamental. There are some nuances, some differences between Ayurveda and Siddha, between Unani and Siddha is that. But fundamentally, they are all root from the Indian indigenous knowledge and based on three dosha and three humoral theory. There is a three dosha. Mukutram comprises of Vatam, Pittam, Kabam. In Tamil, one Tirukural couplet say, Migunum, Kurayinum, Noi Seyum, Nulur, Vali Mudalaya Mundru. That is the very fundamental couplet of about the traditional knowledge of a traditional Siddha system. What it means actually, the imbalances in the Vata, Pitta, Kaba is the reason for many diseases. So on those days, they found that the 5 element theory, Prabanja, 5 elements of the Prabanja, as Jagdish also had told about earth, fire, water, all the 5 element forms the 6 states, and the 6 states influences the 3 dosha, 3 humoral theory, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and imbalances in the Vata, Pitta, Kapha is actually giving all the diseases. And Siddha, what they denoted about the longevity. So why you want to live long? That is the first fundamental question. Why you want to live long? To attain the God's feet, to attain the jnana, we have to live long. So there is a small, two different, today morning also he mentioned about the differences about the Gita and the Tirumandram. Gita says the body is nothing, Maya, and Tirumandram says body is true. Udambal aliyir, uyiral alivar, திடம்பர மெய்ஞானம் சேரவும் மாட்டர் உடம்பை வளர்க்கும் உபாயம் அறிந்தே உடம்பை வளர்த்தேன் உயிர் வளர்த்தேன். The body is true. You have to take care of your body. If you take care of your body only, you can take care of your internal health. Through that only you can achieve whatever you want to do it in the first step of karma yoga. You can get into everything. So for the longevity, they had given few things. You know about the Ashtanga yoga. In our yoga practices, we have the Ashtanga yoga: yama, niyamam, asanam, pranayamam, pratyagaram, dharanai, dhyanam, samadhi. In that, the first 4 steps, the yamam, niyamam, asanam, pranayamam. Yamam is that purity of mind. That is yamam. That the codes of restraint, abstinences, what to do, what not to do, self-regulation, not to steal others, and not to curse others, not to dislike others. This is if your mind is okay, then only you can do all other things. So for that, they had given one beautiful phrase: Manamadu jemayanal mandiram jabika vendam, manamadu semmayanal vaayuvai uyartha vendam, manamadu semmayanal vaasiyai nirutha vendam, manamadu semmayanal mandiram chemayam. If your mind is good, there is no need to do any kind of breathing, vasi exercise and all. You no need to do any chanting and all if your mind is good. Yama is, they had given a very fundamental bottom line. They told you, if your mind is good, then fine. They had told several years before. Sigmund Freud, in the later of the 19th century only, he come up with the concluding note that mind is very important. He only after that, Western science, Western world understand about the psychology and psychophysiology and all other things. After the Sigmund Freud and Chang, everybody had told about that. But several years before, our traditional Siddha medicine told about the importance of yama. So that is the first thing. Second is niyamam. Whatever the practices, observances, self-training, that should be very correct. If you don't have the proper sayal tuime, that niyama, if you don't practice correctly, then there is no, you cannot able to achieve longevity. Whatever, every day-to-day life, taking bath, wearing clean clothes and keeping ourselves clean and prevent spread of other diseases. That is the second very important thing. These two is the fundamental of true yoga. This is actually lead to longevity. And asanas, that you well aware about that. Asana, all the asana. Asana is actually the postures to actually motivate the vasi into the proper organs. That the posture is actually asana. Some people, we may think about each posture is giving some kind of prevention of disease or treating some ailment, treating some specific ailment. It's not actually true. The actual treatment is happening through the vasi. But to facilitate the vasi, the postures are, in those days, they explained. So, asanas, either Tirumalar and Patanjali are the two important siddhas, shared several yogic postures. So, through that only we can stimulate the sixth chakra, we can stabilize our body heat and the energy line in our body. This is the important of asanas. And pranayama. Pranayama, again, it is one of the wonderful science preached by our siddhas. Pranayama is the almost, there are several research in various part of the world how the pranayama is helping in various diseases. வழியினை வாங்கி வையத்தில் அடக்கி, பளிங்கொத்து காயம் பருக்கினும் பிஞ்சாம். If you properly balancing your vasi, if you properly balancing your prana, you can definitely reduces or you can definitely prevent many diseases. You can delay the aging process, we can say. Same thing, உருத்தரித்த நாடியில் ஒடுங்குகின்ற வாயுவை கருத்தினால் இருத்தியே கபாலமேற்ற வல்லீரில் விருத்தரும் பாலராவர். If you do regular pranayama, the aging will definitely become static. That is the fundamental of understanding about pranayama. There are several studies how the pranayama improved the forced vital capacity, how the pranayama improved the forced expiratory volume in the mid-expiratory volume, how it is improving. ICMR and Lupin group, they had done wonderful works. In Swami Vivekananda Yoga University at Bangalore, they had done wonderful works in how pranayama improved the vital capacity of the lung. So this is there are many modern researches they had done. And one Dr. Balasubramaniam, Sundar Balasubramaniam, you may be aware about him. He had done wonderful work on Tirumular pranayama. In Tirumoolar Pranayama, how it improved the, actually they had done wonderful work in the saliva itself. In the salivary secretion, they found several inflammatory markers, how it reducing. That's our inflammatory markers, how it is reducing and prevent cancers. Very recently, he had published one work on how it delays the metastasis of the triple negative breast cancers. He had taken a project from the National Institute of Health, Bethesda at US, and done the work in I think MUSC, that Medical University of South Carolina. They had done one work, how pranayama will be helpful in the prevention of metastasis after the chemo, after the surgery. If a person, breast cancer survivor, if they regularly practices pranayama, they can prevent further metastasis. This is one of the major study they had done. And they have found different proteomes in saliva. We can influence us through the pranayama alone. He had listed these kind of proteomes is influenced only with the pranayama. If you do regularly, that will definitely vary and prevent various ailments. And there are many research how the telomere, a part that is the end of the chromosome, protect the cellular DNA from the damage. If the telomerase, one enzyme is there, then telomere, how it can be prevented through pranayama. There are some studies, and through that the non-communicable diseases can be prevented. The non-communicable diseases can be well balanced through pranayama alone. So practicing pranayama should be the part of the everyday part. Every day you have to do the regular, in Sky Yoga, we all do the Eliyamurai Udadpaichigal. That Eliyamurai Udadpaichigal, along with that, if you do regular this pranayama practice, that itself will balance the non-communicable diseases. And asanas, we all aware about that. There are many research inferences with yogic practices. Each posture, how it reduces the in the HbA1c reduction, how these postures is reducing the HbA1c, how it various process increasing the antioxidant property, how it scavenges the free radical. There are many publications with yoga. Asanas itself will helpful in the preventive of many geriatric ailments and reducing the clutches of non-communicable diseases. Coming to the Kaya Kalpam, these are all yoga, pranayama and all these our practices, and there are several Katpam. Katpamங்கிறது வந்து மிஸ்டேக்கன் ஆயிடுச்சு. தமிழில் வந்து காயகல்பம்ங்கிற விஷயம் வந்து நெடுங்காலமாக அது வந்து ஒன்லி ஃபார் செக்ஷுவல் என்ஹான்ஸ்மெண்ட்டுக்காக கொடுக்கக்கூடிய உணவுகள், இல்லைன்னா அதுக்கான மருந்துகள் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு மிஸ்பெல்ட் as காயகல்பா as aphrodisiac. Not like that. Kayakalpa is basically to prevent you many diseases. There are some specific lifestyle practices of Kayakalpa. So I would like to tell few Kayakalpams which are helpful in our day-to-day life. So, Kayakalpam is actually, if you have a non-communicable diseases, if you take some selective Kayakalpa, for according to our body, if you are Vata body or Pitta body, Kapha body, based on our Prakriti, if you select some specific Kalpa regularly, that will actually reduces your whatever hypertension or apart from your medication, whatever medication you are take. Along with that, if you take some Kayakalpa, that will reduce the damages happened with the sequel of all non-communicable diseases. In Siddha, there is one specific phrase about prevention of these non-communicable diseases. Particularly, Thinnamirandullி சிக்க வடக்காமல் பெண்ணின்பால் ஒன்றை பெருக்காமல் உண்ணுங்கால் நீர் சுருக்கி மோர் பெருக்கி நெய்யுருக்கி. This is one of the very important phrase. Neer, water, you have to boil and drink regularly. More, you should not take it as a curd. You have to dilute it as much as possible. Make it as a buttermilk. And ghee, you have to take it as in a liquid form. Should not be taken in a colloidal form. You have to take it as by heat it and reduce it into a liquid form. You can take ghee. All these three is the actually, if you take regularly, the aging process will be halted. So if you come, before going into the various varieties of kalpas, first we have to understand about what kind of regular staple food. Nowadays we all, our regular staple food is either rice or wheat. So first step is actually we have to go in, not into the clutches of white rice or white maida based food. You have to go to the traditional rice varieties or traditional millets. Rice varieties, traditional, what is the difference between the traditional rice and polished white rice? We have to understand. Traditional, all traditional rice varieties, if you take black rice or red rice or brown rice, there are we had already nearly 1,20,000 rice varieties were there in India. Earlier, we have nearly 1,20,000 rice varieties with various colors, red color, brown color, and black color, more varieties. If a rice is having a color, if you take a black color rice, which is called Karuppu Kauni Arisi, if the black color is because of the anthocyanins present in the rice. So, even with taking the black rice is actually taking a Kaya Kalpa. Because that black rice anthocyanins is preventing many cancers. So that's why we are advocating Karuppu Kauni rice for breast cancers people. People who are with cancers, we always advise take black rice, black rice. If you take red colored rice, lycopene, that red rice is having having richness in the lycopene, polyphenols. And the lycopenes and polyphenol will definitely helpful for many cancer prevention, particularly male with prostate enlargement. Male with having some prostate enlargement, if your prostate enlargement should not become a cancer prostate, we have to take regularly red colored rice. Like the traditional millets, each millet, apart from the carbohydrate content, it is also both traditional rice and traditional millet is having 60 to 70% carbohydrate. But the important difference is, apart from the carbohydrate, it's having very, very minute trace elements, many micro secondary metabolites, plant metabolites. For example, that lycopene, anthocyanins in rice. If you take bajra, if you compare bajra and rice, one hand in bajra and another hand in rice, nearly in bajra, 8-fold iron is there in bajra if you compare rice. Bajra is kambu. If you take regularly bajra, we can prevent anemia. Almost in India, 45% of Indian population is still now, particularly women population is still now in anemia. So instead of taking rice, you can go to bajra. If you take regularly, that you can prevent iron deficiency anemia. So that is another very, very important point. So instead of going with rice, wheat, I think you have to go with the millets and traditional rice varieties. What are all the specific kalpa we can take it with, for if you are having diabetic, you are taking some either metformin or some glycophorial drugs or other PP1 inhibitors, whatever you are taking in allopathy or in Ayurveda or Siddha, if you are taking specific herbal medicine, whatever you take. Along with that, you should take some kind of decoction either with avarai or with vilva or with gova also. How it works? Avarai is cassia auriculata, one plant which is rich in phenolic compound, polyphenol compound, and vilva, they have several studies, they have proved the ingredients is reducing every day it will help in the reducing the insulin resistance. So apart from medication, try to take this avarai and vilva in your regular diet. And if you are having some coronary heart disease, CVD disease, if you are having hypertension or dyslipidemia, already existing ischemic heart disease, you can take ventamarai. Ventamarai, you can just shade dried white lotus leaf, and in that you can take it as a decoction, or you can take the sembariti, hibiscus flower. Both ventamarai and hibiscus are rich in phenolic compound. They had found it is having anti-dyslipidemic activity. It reduces the low density lipoprotein. In both heart, the cardiac diseases as well as in the VA, we had to reduce the low density, that bad cholesterol, LDL, we have to reduce. For that, you can take ventamarai or sembarati. And very importantly, marudambatte, terminalia arjuna. There are several studies with the terminalia arjuna, that catechin content, tannin content, and few other specific secondary metaphorites of the terminalia chebula bar, which is really helpful in various ischemic heart diseases. And in cancers, nowadays, on those days, cancer was not a very prevalent disease, very, very rare one. And in my college days, I always remember breast cancer will come only for the people who are not feeding their children or non-lactating mothers and nuns only. They have the prevalence of getting the cancer, breast cancers. Nowadays, if you go to the National Cancer Registry, if you see, there are several young mothers who fed their children. In 30 to 35, they are getting that breast cancer. The increased incidence of cancers is mainly because of junk food and environmental hazards, pesticidal residues in our everyday food. That is one of the major reasons, apart from the genetic reason and these epigenetic modification due to these all these kind of issues is actually causing the various cancer. The incidence of prostate cancer is increasing. On those days, our teachers are taught that colon cancer won't come to the Indian because we are taking lot of turmeric and spices in our regular meal. But nowadays that data has gone. Colon cancer is increasing. We are seeing every day people with cancer in the rectum or cancer in the lower 1/3 of the esophagus. We are seeing every day. All because of our increase the pesticidal residues in the food product, and even because of the stress, because of the poor lifestyle, obesity and uncontrolled diabetic, all these having this problem. So, if you come into the clutches of cancer and all, whatever medication, chemotherapy or radiation or surgical intervention, you go through that, and apart from that, we have to take some other functional food and some kalpa. These are all the plant which is having some specific anti-cancer activity. They had studied, and various pharma industry right now, they are working in that molecules. One plant I didn't show here, that Karujiragam, black jeera. That Kalauji one seed, that black jeera, black cumin seed, and Roche is doing wonderful work on that black jeera, and they are going to come up with a big molecule for maybe they may come for breast cancer medication. But Karunjeeragam we are using in our regular coronary, that oil, that Karunjeeragam eಣ್ಣை, we can took 5 to 10 drops in your diet regularly. People who are having after 45, after 50, your ancestor, your father or mother is having some cancer issues, or your gene trait is having some oncological issues, you can take 10 drops or 5 drops. We don't know whether this Karunjeeragam eಣ್ಣை directly cure or not. But if you take regularly, it may give some, because it's basically a anti-inflammatory herb. And cancer is basically a inflammatory disease, but particularly it is an inflammatory disease. So, the taking regularly, if you take kind of this black jeera, black cumin, some kind of protection we might have. Like that Venkodi Valley is Plumbago xylonica. China has done wonderful work on this Plumbago xylonica. They come up with some herbal molecule with plumbagin. Another thing, Valladagi Semicarpus anacardium here in Chennai, in the Institute of Basic Medical Sciences, there is one professor, they had come up with the beautiful paper, how this Semicarpus anacardium extract helpful in the hepatocellular carcinoma. Maybe you may, some of you people aware, the cholangiocarcinoma and hepatocellular carcinoma is a very dangerous disease. Most of the time, we are fighting with the oncological drugs, even if you find out in the very early stage only, we can lead their lifespan at least for 10-15 years. If it is spread out, metastatic into the peritoneal cavity or to the nearby organs, very difficult. But Semicarpus anacardium is having some specific action against the HCC cancers and cholangio cancers. Like that Kadukai, it's a very, very common herb. I can recommend all the people who are having above 45, we can take regularly Kadukai. There are several studies with Kadukai alone. The Tremonelia chebula, Indian gooseberry, we say, Indian chestnut, we say that Kadukai. This is one of the best Kayakalpam. If you list the Kayakalpams of Indian medicinal plants, I can give the first rank to the Kadukai. Kalai Inji, Kadumbagal Chukku, Malai Kadukai. This is the formula given by the Siddhas. In this, they are told, these are all the papers with various publication with the Kadukai Venkodi Valley, that only I had listed. One Tiruvullar Nayanar Kappamuli, they are told, Kalame Inji Unna Katinar Sutaratil, Malayadil Kadukai, Mathiyanam Chukkarunda. That's why I told. If you take Inji in the morning, how you can take the Inji? Ginger with honey. You have to take a small piece of ginger, just to peel off the skin outside and take the small pearls like pieces of the ginger soaked in the honey. You can prepare for a week time. If you take it for a long time, it might fermented. So take a small pieces, cut into small pieces and soaked in honey. Just 25 grams you take ginger, and in the 50 gram honey you can soak it. Take it in that, just 2 or 3 pearls ginger in the morning as a first drink. This is one of the fantastic and it is having a lot of other benefits also. It is a good digestion, good anti-pitta drug, and also for many normal influenza virus, ginger is one of the major preventive medicine. So morning ginger you can take, and the afternoon you have to take the same dry ginger. Dry ginger, the best anubara is actually ghee. So dry ginger with ghee you can take in the afternoon, and the night you have to take kadukkai powder in the warm water. If you kadukkai, you have to use the external pericarp only. You should not use the internal nut. And kadukkai, even in the COVID time, you still remember one company, they had taken some basic biocomputational study. They found that kadukkai pericarp is having some prevention in the COVID proliferation. And kadukkai is having a lot of cytotoxic effect and anti-cancerous effect. And kadukkai is the only plant which is having 6 tastes. Each and every plant is having a different taste, and kadukkai is the only plant is having 6 tastes. That's why it was praised very well in the Siddha system of medicine, one of the major kaya kalpa. So this you can take regularly. And coming to the respiratory illness, and our Vedatri Maharishi, as well as about Vallalar praised the Karisale like anything. He praised Karisale as a mother. In Tamil, one phrase is there: Degara Sachuradam Tilliya Ner Kuti Pagamura Kaichi Paruguvar Kagamunum Chali Tirum Kane. The phrase, what it says actually, Karisalangani, that Eucalypta alba, you have to mix it with the dill oil, nallanai. You have to take the Karisalangani juice, equal quantity of jijili oil, boil it and make it as a thylum. If you take regularly 5 ml of that thylum, for the people who are having chronic bronchitis or people who are having asthmatic wheeze, if you take 5 ml in the morning, that will reduce the bronchial spasm, as well having it will relieve the bronchial congestion. It is having mucolytic action also. Apart from that, Karisalangani is one of the best hepatoprotective. Several studies proved the efficacy of the Karisalangani on hepatoprotective. Common people know Karisalangani is good for the hair. They use for they make hair oil and apply in the hair alone. But Karisalangani, not only for that, Karisalangani is one of the best herb for the hepatoprotection and for antiviral action, and is very good for the chronic respiratory ailments. And I told about the Injithane, that is only the morning hours if you take regularly Inji. And another one important point, most of the people may not aware about the Vilambalam. Vilambalam is actually one of the Limoniaceae universal. The Vilambalam has been praised by the Siddhas. They told about the Vilambalam is preventive even death, they told. And we know only the phrase that called Vittadedi Asai Vilambala Thotode. They use the external shell of the Vilambalam for a few other purposes. But Vilambalam, on those days, it has been used as one of the major Kayakalpa. And very simple Nelma Nei Karpam. That is purely a paddy, that a rice powder with cow's ghee. On those days that they are used for kalpa. It's all indicated in the syrup karpam. Pudu karpam, syrup karpam is the classification given by the Siddhas. What you have to take regularly for people who are having excess pitta, you can take Karisalangani. If you have a kaba, you can take rice karpam, nei karpam. So these kind of we have to select whichever is good for you, whichever is accessible to you, whichever is according to your prakriti. You can check it with your Ayurvedic or the Siddha physician. Based on that, we can select one herb as a kalpa. Another very important kalpa, you may all aware about that. Tamil history at several times told about this Nellikai. So this Embolica officinalis, this Nellikai is having rich in vitamin C, rich in phenolic compound. Few other secondary metabolites also they had found in, still remember in 95, 96 at the time, the HIV disease were very high in Chennai at the time, that for the people who are affected with HIV AIDS, those people, to improve the body weight, to improve the resistance, to prevent the opportunistic infections, allopathic physicians of Tamil Nadu, they used Nellikai. I remember Professor C.N. Devanagam, who is a renowned pulmonologist. He often used the Nellikai legium for preventing the opportunistic infection where the immune system is very low in the HIV patient. They use the Nellikai. So we can use it regularly. It is not a medicine. In our diet, you can directly do it. But don't make it as a pickle. If you make as a pickle, put some chili powder, oil, all other things, you spoil that disease. You can take Nellikai as such you can, as a juice also you can take. Like Ponnangani, very common kirai. There are several small greens are there. You know about pasalakirai, benefit of pasalakirai, benefit of murungai benefit of sirikirai, arakirai. There are several kirais greens are there. Each greens is having rich in mineral content. It is having selenium, very, very micro mineral, which is essential for our body metabolism. From the iron to selenium, there are several things are there. Among them, Ponnangani Kira is one of the major karpam. Ponnangani is having very good for the eyes. People are having some eye diseases. You can take regularly Ponnangani. Katchalai, aloe vera. This is one of the major karpam, especially for the woman. Women having the dysmenorrhea, women having polycystic ovarian disease, women having endometriosis, it is one of the functional food. I won't say it is a medicine for endometriosis or medicine for dysmenorrhea, but if you take regularly, it will balance the pitta in the female pelvic region. So that will definitely, it will reduce the dysmenoric pain, and particularly if you have endometriosis with dysmenoric pain, aloe vera is one of the major plant. This is one of the kalpam on those days they educated. I request to people, learned people from various fraternity, various biologists, neurologists and general physician, researchers are there. You please look into that herbs and indications. You can, what are all the indications? That will give some kind of clues whether it can be useful for these diseases or whether it can be useful for preventing such some ailment. Some molecules, some secondary metabolites might be there inside. It is not fully exploited, fully explored for the Western world, Western scientific world. Here, I always say there are several literatures available here and there. Whether several dispassionate clinical leads are there in the many clinics of Ayurvedic and Siddha clinics. What we have to do is, we have to carefully pick up the leads and do the research. If you are like how yoga has been studied worldwide, how yogic practices studied worldwide, how they are find out that salivary cytokines are reducing or increasing, they found out like that. If you look the very common herbs, very common functional food, if you look into that very carefully, we can pick up very good molecule which might be useful for the Tamil community. Like that. Another one, you may all aware about the Ashwagandha. In Ayurveda, it's called Ashwagandha. It is now in the Western world, is now come up with the therapeutic vaccine with the Ashwagandha, Withania somnifera. So, Amukrangala, it is a very common plant which has been used for a good sleep. Today, Professor Mallarao as well as Jagdish, both they are told about the importance of the stage 1, 2, 3 sleep. For the efficient sleep, with the sleep alone, we can increase the melatonin, we can increase the body's many repairing enzymes in the body. Thereby, we can reduce the burden of many diseases. For that, Ashwagandha is one of the very, very common plant which you can use it. Just powder it and take it with warm milk. One unique clinical observation is, if you take it with milk, it will improve little body weight and have a good sleep. And if you take it with hot water, if you make you lean, it will reduce the weight and have a good sleep. This is one of the very important clinical observations. So, if you want to reduce your weight, take it with the warm water. If you want to increase your body weight, take it with little warm milk. Ashwagandha, one of the well-studied, important herbal medicine, herbal plant which is in Ayurveda and both Siddha. And these you may all aware about the Vembu. Vembu karpam, you have to take the vepam kulundu, small tender leaf of vepam kulundu, that you can take it, that will have a lot of benefit in the internally, particularly the secondary metabolites. Again, I am using the word secondary metabolites again. I would like to share one important, immediately it came to mind. Very recently I studied about the plants, one paper from Israel. Beautiful paper. It is actually today morning when I hear about the Vallalar's quote by some professor, they had told about the கலங்கி நின்றே வாடிய பயிரை பார்க்கும் போதெல்லாம் கலங்கி நின்றே. In that phrase, that remember me, the Israel's paper very recently they published, plant interact each other with we cannot able to hear because their decibel we cannot able to hear. How best they are interacting now with the latest study, they had understand, if one plant, 2 trees are nearby, if one tree is having some viral infection or some kind of infection it is actually telling the other tree that I am having such infection, I am getting these kind of sore and my fruits are getting these kind of issues, my leaves are getting I am getting these kind of issues, I am actually managing with these kind of secondary metabolites. Please prepare for that. These kind of information it is passing to the next tree. It's not a joke, or it is not a just hypothesis. They had scientifically, they had in the paper called Cell, the magazine name is Cell. In that, some Israeli author, is a very lead paper. They had come up with the thought-provoking ideas, how the plants are interacting each other, so that preventing many ailment and all. So, such a way they are increasing their secondary metabolites and phenols and terpenoid, all the things, but that we are using for our diseases and all these things. So each and every plant is actually a medicinal, having some medicinal values. Our Siddhas picked some specific karpams and specific herbs which will be useful for the human mankind. Like erukku also. Erukku, usually we thought it is a poisonous one. But that erucambal, the milk latex of the erucambal, which has been studied specifically for many diseases. And finally, the neringil, very common plant, the neringil mull. That neringil is actually, they found it will improve the hormones, it will improve the dihydrotestosterone, and is how it useful for the cystitis, how it is useful for the prostate enlargement, how it can prevent the cancer prostate. Several paper they come up with the neringil mull alone. So I will conclude here. There are several single herbs, single medicinal plants they found which is being useful for longevity by our Siddhas. But very importantly, we should understand, just taking or picking the secondary metabolites or picking the chemical alone, if you take it regularly, we can live long. You should not think like that. This is one tool. We had, again, I come to the first point. The first thing is our yama and niyama. If your yama is good, and if your if you practice regular pranayama and asanas, if you do regular meditation, along with that, if you take regular functional food and nutraceutical, whatever food you are taking, traditional rice or traditional millet or these kind of herbs and these kind of spices in our regular culinary, these all will add on to our, to prevent many ailments, and we can lead a normal, healthy life. Concludingly, I would like to tell few important things. One is, we have two type of challenges. One is communicable diseases, another non-communicable diseases. Just 5 years before, most of the people, we didn't think about communicable disease again will come. We, after winning the smallpox and after winning the polio, we thought that no much big communicable disease won't come. But after the swine flu, incidence of swine flu, after the incidence of MERS, little frightening will had come. But after the COVID, we learnt a lot. But do you think that COVID has gone? No. COVID has actually, it has disappeared and somewhere it has been there. Nearly 6 lakh plus viruses can attack us. And people are saying that 6 lakh plus viruses may come any point of time. Because of the increased incidence of climate change. that climate change actually open up a lot of hibernated viruses, and that virus can come anytime. If any virus come, our innate immune system should open and fight against that viruses. So for that, we have to keep our immune system good. We have to keep our bone marrow, we have to keep our white cells, or we have to keep our complement cells to fight against the virus as well. We cannot able to wait every time for a vaccine will come and at the time we can prevent. First, we have to improve our immune system. To improve the immune system, the Kaya Kalpa practices and stress management and the pranayama, all these things are very, very essential. This is the part of the communicable diseases. In the part of non-communicable diseases, first thing we have to prevent from our youngsters, people, our children, our brothers, our sisters, those who are already in the clutches of diabetic or hypertension, we have to prevent. Further, we have to prevent the sequelae of not diabetes. We have to prevent the chronic renal diseases from the diabetic population. We have to prevent heart attacks from the hypertensive population. So that is very, very important need of the hour for India, particularly in Tamil Nadu, because we are all rice-eating population. We have more such a susceptibility to get diabetic, more susceptibility to get the sequelae of diabetes and hypertension. So this is very, very important. So two clutches are there. One is communicable, one other is non-communicable. For the both, I would say Kaya Kalpa practices is very, 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 very essential. This pranayama or our sky yoga, this Kaya Kalpa yoga, all this will add some benefit to the our own healing system, to improve the innate immune system or shaping of the metabolism. We don't know. Whatever way, if it is helpful, we can lead a healthy lifestyle. This is first point. Second thing, all these practices should start from the youngster. We always say in the business management, catch them young. Actually, in the health practices, we have to catch them young. When they are in the school days, when they are in the school going children, at that time itself, we have to have the practice of avoiding white sugar, practicing of reducing the salt, practicing of reducing the fat content. This is very, very important. Because salt, if you compare the Western world, we are using almost double time every day. Even in our everyday meal, we are using nearly 8 to 9 grams of salt. But WHO is recommending only 4 grams of salt. But we are using 8 grams in the common. I am not saying about chips, or I am not saying about the methyl or what is called monosodium glutamate and all junks. Even in the normal South Indian, North Indian culinary, we are using double time salt. So we need to reduce the salt and reduce the sweet from the younger days onwards. And at that time itself, they have to practice the Kaya Kalpa yoga, meditation, pranayama, all these things. Second important. They should start all the functional food and nutraceutical from the younger days onwards. After getting into the clutches of all NCDs, if they start, they can only manage. They cannot lead a very healthy lifestyle. So catch them young. Second. Third important thing, again I would like to insist, this Kaya Kalpam cannot be sold by take encapsulate. I am taking regularly ashwagandha capsule and doing all the nonsense in my lifestyle. Nothing will work. So you have to practice yama, niyama, pranayama, pratyagaram, everything. Along with that, you have to go with all Kaya Kalpam and all. And finally, very importantly, I would like to say, to live long, what we are going to achieve, that we have to think about that. To live long, to lead a healthy lifestyle. On those days, Siddhas advocated because of social responsibility. So I would like to insist in this August forum, to live long, to lead a healthy life, or to take Kaya Kalpa and all. Not only enjoy the comforts of the contemporary life. If you want to live long, we have to be responsible for the society. All the, today morning, Jagdish also had, Jagdish or Mallarao told about the level 3 spirituality. I liked it very much. The level 3 spirituality is actually, I can say, the whole Western world for the last 100 years, I can say maybe 200 years after the Einstein or after the Newton, we become anthropocentric, human-centric, which is good for human, which is good shirt for me, which is good good accommodation for me, good car for me, everything anthropocentric. That is not the Siddha's life. The level 3 spirituality, what they are told, it is ecocentric. So we have to lead a healthy lifestyle. We have to live long to have a ecocentric life. All our bacteria, all our virus, because actually the earth is a virosphere. We came very little, only just 20 million years before. Before that, the entire earth is with the virus. The COVID is our actually another grandma, another cousin. We cannot, we just think that it is come from the China, people are saying that everything, all other things are nonsense, we don't know. But all the viruses actually the owners of the biosphere. So, we should respect other human, because you may aware about the tagline after the COVID, the United Health told about the One Health. Earlier, in our 1950s and all, your health is defined only with the physical health. If my lung is breathing well, my heart is breathing, pumping well, and if my liver is doing well, I am healthy on those days. After 1970, no. Physical health as well as mental health. They said that after 1970 only. But Tirumandaram on 1500 years before, they had told, Maruppadu udal noi marundanalagum, Maruppadu ula noi marundanachalum, Maruppadu ini noi varadiruppa, Maruppadu savai marundanalame. How wonderfully our ancestors had told. Maruppadu udal noi, Maruppadu ula noi. Now, very recently, in the One Health, they had clearly told, if my physical health is good, okay. If my mental health is good, okay. Are you healthy? No. Even if your physical health is okay, if your mental health is okay, your earthworm under your feet should be healthy. The flowers in the trees should be healthy. The bird should be healthy. Then only you will be healthy. This is the tagline of One Health. So, by learning the Kayakalpa to achieve longevity, we should become socially responsible, lead a eco-centric life. Thank you very much.